What's up, guys? I'm Mike.
This is Ajax. We're here with another book review, and this time I got something a little bit different than the usual. I'm normally into these historical fiction, like epic novels, where the character travels long distances, makes a bunch of new friends, right? Has like a following, goes to different cultures. This time we got something a little bit different. This one is King Rat by James Clavell. Now this book, James Clavell is the author of The Shogun, actually. You've probably heard of that book, if not heard of the TV series. I still haven't read Shogun, so that's on my list. This book was very, very interesting. It takes place in a Japanese prisoner of war camp. And it's like almost like a psychological thriller. It's very, very well written. And actually, James Clavell spent time in this Japanese prisoner of war camp that he's describing. So adds a little bit of legitimacy to it. And it's very intense. And it takes place in like a world within a world, right? The whole book takes place in this Japanese prisoner of war camp. Now there's actually two different versions. There's the original that came out, and then there's a kind of like a revised version. This is the original version that I bought. This is like the paperback. This includes letters or scenes from like the wives back home. And while some may find that more preferable, maybe it's more appealing to women, right? Maybe this book is easier to read for women in that way. It takes you out of like the captivity, right? The whole book in this version takes place in the prisoner of war camp. And it's like a world within a world. They hear stories about what's going on the outside, and they wonder what their wives are doing, what could possibly be going on. And they don't know, and you as the reader don't know. This fills in those gaps, and it takes you out of that little prison that they're in and out into the outside world. I didn't like it. I didn't like how it took you out of that intense camp that everybody is stuck in. So if you buy this paperback version, just know that there are scenes, and they're kind of delineated by this little marking, right? It'll have this marking at the beginning and end of these scenes that go to the wives and what's going on outside the camp. Again, I didn't like it. It took me out of the intensity that is the prison camp of Changi, however you pronounce that prison camp in Singapore. It's a legitimate Japanese prisoner of war camp. So just keep that in mind. The newer versions are going to include them. You can skip it if you want. Like they're delineated by that line that I showed you. So if you come across that line and you don't want to read those portions to, take yourself out of the prisoner of war camp, you can skip them. I ended up just getting a hardcover copy because I like the hardcover artwork anyway. And this version does not have those, right? The original version didn't have those scenes outside of the prison camp. It stars the main character of this book is a man called King. And I don't know if that's his last name or if he just became known as the King, but his name is King. He's an American corporal, and he's in this prisoner camp, and he's the only one thriving. Everybody else is starving to death, just famished, gone. Everybody's like on the verge of dying, and he is fit and well fed, and he has nice clothes, and he's almost there's a lot of animosity towards him from the other prisoners because he's so taken care of. And the way he goes about this is he's just very cunning. He makes a lot of business deals and almost like, he takes advantage of people in certain ways, but he also feeds people and helps other people out. A lot of the times he does that, it's to his own advantage for later on too, though, right? So he's kind of an enigmatic character. You don't know if he's good or bad, but he's very much living the best life he can in this prisoner camp, right? He's got, everybody's got like, it's funny the way this camp is structured. The Japanese still segregate the officers and enlisted men. And they still have rules, and the officers enforce the rules that the Japanese have put into this camp. But they allow these prisoners to survive in any way they can. They're only given a very small amount of rice every day, very minimal, like real food. They'll come across chickens. Somehow these prisoners end up with chickens. So each like house, like each hut, like there's an American hut officers' huts, the British hut, Australian hut. They each have their own like chicken coops and chickens running around. The king has like 5 of his own, and he's the only one that has a rooster. So everybody's trying to find a way to survive, and somehow the king is thriving. He's constantly making deals and knows how to use his personality to his advantage. And the whole time, you're just almost like admiring how he's able to thrive in this environment. The book is kind of psychologically intense. I mean, people are dying, people are starving. It's a very depressing atmosphere, I'd say. And it's different than most of the books that I read usually. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the dialogue in this book is very well written, and the structure of the camp and the descriptions of the camp are very engrossing. You're very much able to get into the camp with these men. And it's a credit to James Clavell. I mean, he spent time in this actual Japanese prisoner of war camp where most people died and did not make it out. So it's a psychological thriller to the highest extent. And the ending is so good. It's a sad ending, but it's so good. And I'm not going to give too much away, but the ending almost makes you rethink how you looked at the entire rest of the book. When I was reading this book, if I had to give it a rating, I'd be like a 7.3. Good book. I might read it again. Nothing crazy. The ending, it bumped it up to like a 7.9 for me. Again, this is not my typical read, right? Aztec, if you watch any of my big videos, I mention that book like every time I have a book review. That's like a 9.5 for me. Exactly what I'm looking for, right? Anything above an 8 is just like phenomenal. This book is almost there. It's just so different than what I'm used to that I can't quite give it that, but it might be deserving of like an 8, an 8.1. I give it like a 7.9. It is definitely worth the read. It's going to be different if you're, I mean, it depends on what kind of historical fiction you like, but it's a psychological thriller. Like it's like mentally intense being in the camp with these guys and the things that they had to endure. And Peter Marlowe was a British soldier, a British officer who becomes friends with the king. He's also one of the main characters in this book. And it's just amazing the things that these men had to do to survive. And I imagine a lot of it is maybe not entirely accurate, but pretty close to how these men had to just make it in this prisoner of war camp. And there's a village outside the camp, and only the king knows how to get there. And he's, like I said, he's like the man, and everybody loves to hate him because he's obviously taking advantage of people, but he's also keeping a lot of prisoners alive with the way he can get food into the camp, the way he can get items into the camp. He does deals and trades with different guards, and he's always like one step ahead of everybody. It's amazing. He's very intelligent, very street smart. He knows how to survive in this unsurvivable environment. So if you're looking for like a nice book, it's not too long. I mean, like 370 pages. I mean, some of the books I read are like 900s. To me, this isn't that crazy, but I mean, it's easily readable. I mean, it's a page turner for sure. Some days I would just sit there for hours just reading until it got dark out because it's that engrossing. So if you're looking for something different, I highly recommend King Rat by James Clavell. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Like, subscribe, and follow me if you're trying to check out more of my reviews. Thanks for tuning in.